the gulliest good guy. It couldn't get better than what I present to the market. I'm too fly, too flavoursome. Spit to the break of dawn, my spirit.
Hello everyone, I'm Grace.
And I'm Rachel.
And today we are here having a little chit chat with
N8tive.
Lovely. So, N8tive, for anyone that's never heard of you before or doesn't know kind of what you're about, could you give us a description of yourself in 3 or so words or phrases?
Three words, 3 phrases. Which one?
Whatever you fancy.
Okay. I'm 24 years old. I come from Southeast London, Woolwich, and I make alternative rap / Afrobeats.
Lovely. I think that's a good introduction.
Yeah, really good. So what would you say is like your main inspiration for your music at the moment?
At the moment, for me right now, I am very in tune with like 90s like samples right now. I'm listening to like Big L, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest. You know, that's where, you know, that's kind of the roots of the music I make right now. Obviously with Flavor, that just came out as well. That was a sample by Craig Mack. I've always been kind of obsessed with 90s rap. Like since I was young, I've always kind of loved it, but I've never been able to actually put it into practice. And now I have the ability to do so.
Nice.
I feel like the 90s is really where it's at with music.
Yeah, man.
Best era for music in my opinion anyway.
Same.
Why do you like the 90s rap so much? It's making a comeback for sure. Like,
Definitely.
Yeah. Like what about 90s rap like speaks to you?
I think 90s music was like really expressive, you know. Sometimes it was even kind of exaggerated, like especially when you have love songs, you have people singing in the rain with like a vest on. It was
Very
like
dramatic.
one of the most, it was very dramatic,
Yeah.
you know, and I always kind of appreciated that. That was when a lot of cultural moments were made, a lot of symbolic things happened during those times because everyone was so expressive and so exaggerated. So that's always been my kind of thing, you know. It's always given me that kind of confidence to be expressive and exaggerated.
Yes, I love that. That's so nice.
And I kind of suppose that when you were young, 90s music was still big as well. Did you have a lot of like influence from music in your house and things like that? Like 90s music being played? Like, do you think it stemmed from there?
So my mum's a massive Lisa Stanfield fan.
Right.
Like, she can't stop playing it. And I mostly grew up around 90s gospel music, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
American gospel, you know, before obviously the 90s rap came in. So when I was 8 years old, you know, I used to be a naughty kid and my mum forced me to join a women's choir. So that wasn't, you know, a lot of jokes used to get made because I was like the only boy there with a high-pitched voice. So obviously I sang for 8 years, which is how the gospel came about. And then my voice broke. So I had to hang up the boots for that one.
Yeah.
And then that's literally how I came across 90s rap. I always was kind of surrounded by 90s music, but, you know, I was like, how else do I express myself musically? And I can't really sing like I used to. So I was like, you know, rap's the closest thing, you get what I'm saying? So did my research, fell in love with it, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah. How was that transition from rap to singing? Like, no, from singing to rap even. Like, how did you find it? You said you researched it. Like, how did that work? Like,
literally, I remember, right? So it was like a chain reaction, right? So I might have started with like maybe a couple features, right? Maybe the Far Side and the Jungle Brothers or De La Soul. And then they'd have a feature and I'd listen to the whole album. Then whoever's featuring, I'd listen to their album. And then whoever's featuring in their albums, I'd listen. So it was like always transitioning
Down a rabbit hole.
Literally went down the deepest rabbit hole and I just became so obsessed with it. So obviously the way I ended up transitioning to rap was I started off repeating their lyrics. So like I used to get the flow by repeating their lyrics, like rehearsing their own lyrics until I had the confidence and the knowledge to start writing my own. So like my early raps was just literally just nonsense. Like it was nothing contextual. It was just me trying to learn how to like flow like they did and stuff, you know? And yeah, that's that.
very nice.
Sounds like a good journey.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So you mentioned quite a few artists that kind of influence your music and things like that. So we want to know who would be your biggest, like your... We want to know who would be your dream collaboration in terms of music, obviously. Who would you want featured on your songs?
We're talking anyone, dead or alive.
Anything.
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Isley Brothers.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, Isley Brothers. They made Between the Sheets and Footsteps in the Dark. they are like one of the most impossible people you could sample or like get on a song. But just to have them want to be on a British song, that'd be a dream of mine. And then in terms of UK related, Jay Huss. Yeah, Jay Huss. No, I love that guy, man. I love the spirituality that he has and the aggressiveness he has on this song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
He's an icon in this country.
Yeah, literally. Cultural reset for it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've spoken a lot about like how you've actually got to this point. In terms of your inspiration, how did like your new single come around?
It's actually funny. I had a studio session with my producer JK Beats, and you know, usually whenever I go to the studio, I always have like a mini blueprint of what I want to do. But this time I didn't. So you know, I was just like, you know what, let's try to do something a bit more old school, like a bit more authentic. So, you know, we looked at the typical songs like we was looking at Biggie songs, looking at Tupac songs, looking at Big L songs, but then they've already kind of been used in different ways, already kind of been sampled, and we wanted to have fresh. So the YouTube algorithm just took us to Flavor in Your Ear by Craig Mack. And we was thinking to ourselves, I don't think anyone in the UK has ever jumped on something like this. So then I just had a big grin on my face. It's like, yeah, we're going to do this. Like, this is something we're going to do. So, you know, we didn't just want to rip the sample and just use it. We wanted to kind of add our own flavor to it. No pun intended. So, you know, we've got the main sample playing throughout the song. And then at the end, it switches to like a kind of Afro kind of, you know, a different thing.
Yeah.
And it was a bit audacious because, you know, Craig Mack's like one of the like most iconic people in rap. That's how Biggie started his career, through that through the freestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, through the remix, sorry. So we was kind of scared, like, oh man, like if we flop this, like everyone's gonna be on our necks. It's gonna be an offense to the whole culture.
It can go
man.
one or two ways.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Even down to getting the sample cleared.
Yeah.
Once we got the sample cleared, that's when I knew that, okay, it's a decent song, because they would have let us use the sample if it was a bad song. So, but yeah, that's literally how the song came about. Yeah.
Was it one of those songs where you were making it and you were like, this is a big one? Like, we're making money on this track.
Yeah. The reason why I knew that it was going to be a decent track was because of the switch up. No one expected that. Everyone just thought it was just going to be a straight, you know, Craig just freestyling and stuff. But when the switch comes in, when it switches to like Afro beats, everyone's like, what the hell? Like, you know, it's never really been done before. And it was terrifying for me because obviously I've done the switch up and I've had to present that to Craig Mack's estate and tell them, no, like, this is what we're doing to your song. I hope that's cool. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I like the fact that it caught a lot of people off guard. So yeah.
So when you're kind of like in the studio and obviously recording and composing and producing and things like that, obviously you said that when you were listening to it, you knew it was going to be a hit. And I find it really interesting when artists say that, because it's like, how do you know when you're listening to that song in your head, and obviously it's made by you, you've done it, how do you know, and how are you confident in what you're putting out? Like, how do you stay confident in what you're putting out?
For me, it's instinctual. You know, I feel like music, good music you can't apply logic to.
Yes.
It's about how you feel, you know? And when I listened to it and the way it made me smile and grin, like I'm even smiling now just thinking about it. Like I listened to it and I was just like, oh my days, like I love this. And as an artist, you know, obviously we get in our heads a lot and we overthink things, but literally when you know you've made something good, it's a straightforward like thought process. You're like, oh my gosh, this is
when
just
you
cool.
know, you know.
You just know, yes, and it's instinct. You can't predict it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
of course.
yeah.
How would you say like the reception of your track? Like how has that been? Have you got any good feedback? How are the people that you sent off to?
Yeah, everyone loved it. I was like I said, I was terrified, but the feedback was good. Like the main thing was getting it's refreshing, you know, and I think that's what's important to me, because obviously I'm trying to bring something new to the table, something, do you know what I mean, something fresh. So like the reception was really good, done a lot better than I expected. So yeah, it was a good response.
Nice. The refreshing flavour. Oh, that was always forced.
So obviously we've spoken about music and things like that and how you came about to do what you're doing now. But how did the name come about? how did the name Native come about? And we've noticed that you call your fans the Tribe. Is that correct?
Yeah. So,
How did that come about as well?
so I'll start with my name. With my name, so obviously De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, and the Jungle Brothers, they had a collective called the Native Tongue. So I became so obsessed with that. Like I used to go by the Native Tongue until I shortened it down to just Native.
Yeah.
And then even further down the line, obviously to be native means to belong to something. And, you know, and I grew up having like an identity crisis. So obviously I'm a first generation immigrant, Nigerian. I grew up watching American TV shows in a council estate, watching things like anime, all of these different kind of cultures. And it was overwhelming for me as a child. It was like, who am I? What do I really like? You know, what's my roots here? So like, I kind of, you know, became kind of like a symbol for like lost people who are trying to discover themselves, discover their roots, which is how my tribe came about. You know, it was about all of us studying the things that came before us so we can make it make sense for the people who come after us. So make people actually become more in tune with their roots and understand their cultures, you know, because I think it's important to know where your blood comes from, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So important.
So yeah, we just kind of look at ourselves as people who just study the past, really. And it's not just music, it's like, obviously I have some actors, I have people who are in the corporate world, there are people who do education, you know? So it's just kind of like a group for lost people, you know?
Yeah.
I love that.
I really love that. So in terms of like what you want to achieve with your music, is that like, you've spoken about fostering a sense of belonging almost, like is that kind of what you want to do with your music? Like in an ideal world, what would you want to achieve?
I want people to literally become obsessed with who they are. I feel like I want them to really know, because obviously with some cultures, there's things that people might not particularly like about their culture that makes them want to run away or like kind of leave from it because it might be too much for them. But I feel like it's important that we know, because our kids have to kind of know as well. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to know about their roots and not necessarily force them, just be like, yeah, this is where you're from, this is where your parents grew up, and this and that. I think it's important to know. And yeah.
So culture's definitely a big thing for you, like keeping it alive and keeping it kind of ongoing and passing it on.
100%. And
you want to do that through your music.
Literally, that's how I want to do it. Like, you see Peter Pan and the Lost Boys?
Yeah.
That's exactly, I think if that's the best way I can paint it for you. Like, yeah.
Very nice.
No, that's lovely. I think it's nice to hear someone have like a new approach to music and things like that. Because obviously a lot of people just kind of, they don't think about the things that come behind music and what it means to people.
Yeah.
So like you said about the whole idea of it being refreshing, like it definitely is like that new thing, and you're keeping it new and you're keeping it fun, but also with a message behind it.
100%.
Yeah. So show-wise of music, what does a native show look like?
Ah, man, I've had a couple of shows, right? And I think the best way I compare it to is kind of like a wrestling match. You know, when they come out and the lights are all on you and stuff, and it kind of brings out kind of like a, I don't want to say cult, but like a really energetic.
Yeah.
Everyone's always kind of like hype. And I get on stage and, you know, when I say tribe, it's like everyone automatically knows that they are part of this tribe. No one ever feels left out when they're at a gig. And then obviously the introduction starts playing, like the energy, the endorphins is high. It's like everyone's smiling, everyone's got their flashlights up. Like it's a really good experience. And it kind of like, no one, it's like a hive mind almost. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, like everyone's just locked in. Like I become part of that hive mind with everyone. We're all feeling the same rush of emotions whilst I'm performing, you know? It's an amazing experience, man, trust me.
Yeah. How does that compare to you? Like, how does that compare to you actually being in an audience? Like, in terms of you actually performing, you get hype off the energy. Like, how is it different being like the main figurehead of a concert in comparison to actually being in the audience and gigging?
Okay, so when it's in, I like to, like, it's two different perspectives. Obviously, you got the person looking up and the person looking down, right? So when I'm on stage, it's more of like, it's like a public speech. That's how I look at it, right? And when you give a public speech, obviously you want to relate to whoever's listening. So that's why you need to make your music as relatable as possible. But when you're in there, it's like you don't realize that you're part of a crowd. You're just thinking for yourself when you're inside a gig. Do you get? So it's almost like a one-on-one conversation. Do you get what I'm saying? So when I'm in an audience, I feel like the person who's performing is speaking directly to me. So with that experience, I know to make music as if I'm making music for one person. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Making sure that everyone understands and, you know, that they really pick up the message and what I'm saying. So
Yeah, you get the people leave and they're like, oh my gosh, N8tive looked at me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
So would you say you like to make your shows like really interactive, like really make the audience feel like they're in the room with you rather than just watching you?
100%, yeah, man. Like I always do like cooler responses with my crowd and they love it. And every time I finish a song, I say the same cooler response to the point where it just becomes instinctual to them. So whenever I say the word, they just know automatically what to say. So yeah, man, it's a home for everyone, man. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to drop the call and response. Like, what? Working example, what is your call and response?
So for example, I say one and they say tribe.
Okay.
And then when I say tribe, they say forever. So it'd be like one tribe, then I say tribe, they say forever. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's proper nice, yeah. When you're in there, trust me, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot about your journey earlier to music and things like that.
Yeah.
But we wanted to know a bit about you
Okay.
and kind of taking away from the music a tiny bit. So obviously when you were growing up, you mentioned like all your inspirations and stuff. Where did you go to uni is what we want to know. And kind of, did you have a lot of music influences in uni? Did you kind of have that spark of imagination back then? Or has it literally been something that you've taken all the way up from your childhood? Like, or did it change? What was it like?
So for me, this is gonna sound bad. No one following my steps, but I went to uni with the sole idea of coming out there with some sort of connection to music. Like I knew my heart was never for education.
Yeah.
So I was like, obviously my mum, she really wanted me to go and do the uni thing. So I was like, you know, if I'm gonna go, let me come out with something that I want to do.
Of course.
So literally, I think the first month, I went Coventry University, by the way. I should have said that first.
City of culture.
Yeah, literally. So first month, the first thing I was doing was looking for open mics. Literally, that was the only thing I was doing. Obviously, made friends with my flatmates and stuff, but I was literally asking around, yeah, when's the nearest like open mic, or when is it happening? And they told me about one that was happening in a pub called the Phoenix. So I'll never forget this. So I find out quite late, right? So I'm now rushing to this open mic and it's like 9:00 p.m. And I get there and everyone's getting ready to leave.
Oh no.
So then the announcer goes, oh, there's one more person. And everyone's like, we want to go home. But they're like, no, trust me. And I just sit down. And obviously with this pressure on me, I was like, you have to.
You have to perform.
Do you get me? So I remember the song I performed was like one of the first songs I ever wrote.
Wow.
So I was so nervous. So my hands are sweating, holding the microphone, all clammy. Then obviously I just performed like to the best of my ability, and they loved it. Yeah, it was a magical experience for me. Yeah, and they said encore, right? And I was sweating because I had no other songs. It was only one song.
The mind was rocking.
I was like, what do I do now? So I just performed the song again, and they loved it. I was like, oh, thank you.
It's working.
Yeah, and then literally there was just like a spread. Like everyone started hearing different ACS started shouting me and saying, yo, we heard about you performing. Would you like to come to our university to perform? So I ended up doing like a mini kind of like uni tour in the West Midlands. It was nice, man.
So the music has always been there throughout everything you've ever done.
It's something I always knew I was going to end up doing, but I could never tell you how. So just worked out in the
just
end.
an instinct.
Literally, yeah.
If you weren't a rapper, if you weren't into music, where do you think you'd be now? Obviously, I know music's been a big thing your whole life, as we've mentioned. But if that didn't happen, where would you be? You know
what? One thing I always wanted to do, aside from music, was to actually like build my own house. Like actually, like such a weird thing. Like I think when I was young, I think I saw the Google building. And I saw how they had slides from like different floors and stuff. So I proper geeked out over that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to slide in my house. You know what I mean? So that's one of the main reasons why I studied civil engineering. So
civil engineering? Oh my God.
I studied
Big
civil.
course.
You can imagine my mum's heart when I told her I don't want to do this no more. She's like, oh my gosh. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think civil engineering, I probably would have finished it so I could have built
have
my
gone
own
through
slide
that.
somewhere. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. Sounds
Slide
cool.
into a recording studio.
Oh, mate, would have been. You get me? That would have been. Literally.
So, if we have a chat about music video, because pristine, like in terms of quality, like aesthetic, amazing, right? How, like, what was like the creative process for making it, shooting it, the fashion behind it? Like, give us the story, give us a lowdown.
So, obviously, Flavor in Your Ear, there was a remix and they had a music video for that, which was with Biggie, Rampage, LL Cool J, everyone that was in it, Busta Rhymes as well. So I really looked at the video and was like, you know what? We're going to pay homage to this, right? So the way Busta Rhymes moves in the video and his hand signs, I was like, I'm going to do exactly that. That's exactly how I want it to come across, very Busta Rhymes, right? And then obviously we've taken the black and white element, and what we've done is we've obviously put like the lyrics on screen, and obviously we've played around with the lyrics, so obviously it's as clear as possible what I'm talking about. But what we do is we switch the color when the beat switches to kind of signify that this is a new era, and two, this is native. You know, this isn't me just jumping on something for the sake of it. This is actually how I want to evolve music. You know what I mean? And it came across literally exactly how, you know, it was planned. And we had Cortez give us the jacket. It was a one-of-one jacket.
Wow.
He let me borrow it for the music video, so it was like the holy grail on my shoulders. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like, oof. And yeah, I can't believe we managed to get that done. So yeah, like shooting on the day was just such an experience for me. It was the first time I shot something on that caliber. So yeah, man, it was a beautiful process. Yeah.
Very creative.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what can we see next from you? What's upcoming? Is there anything in the works at the moment? What's next from you?
So there's another single coming out about chasing dreams. Yeah, can't give away too much. It's coming out, let me just say early next year. Probably
soon.
Maybe. So this one's gonna probably be the biggest one yet. Like there's a lot of heads involved in terms of this one. So that one I'm excited and nervous for, but more excited, you know what I mean? And hopefully we get a project out next year. This one, the project that comes out is going to be based around family. So, you know, there's going to be, I've already sampled my mum in one of my tracks. Yeah. Sampled my mum, I've sampled my nephew, and I've sampled my brother and my sister. So I'm sampling, you know, there's a lot of in-house things going on there. I'm not going to give the name of the tape, but it's going to be a very relatable, very sentimental. Very sentimental, yeah, literally. It's going to revolve around a lot of themes about my life. So but next year's looking promising, man. Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. In terms of, we're going to manifest, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to achieve? Like, think big. Think even bigger than big. What are you going to do? What are you going to achieve?
You know what? My end goal, this is going to sound so crazy when I say this, but I want a Nobel Peace Prize.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to get into philanthropy through my music. So, like, you know, I'm trying to build my tribe worldwide, not just on the musical scale. Like, I want, you know, to kind of...
Even bigger.
Kind of like an evil villain kind of thing. Like, take over the world.
Never enough.
Yeah, never enough. Like, literally go out there and just help as many people. You know, I want to be a voice for people who can't really speak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's kind of that's the biggest ambition I have, you know?
Yeah. So Nobel Peace Prize, world domination.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
World your
literally.
oyster.
Yeah, literally.
No.
I think...
Are we all good?
Yeah, I think we've covered most things.
Thank you.
Do you wanna, if you talk into that camera, do you wanna wrap it up, proper big yourself up, say what's going on?
Sell yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm native. Young face, baby face, the craziest, you know. This isn't going to be the last time you see me here, especially. And, if you're looking to find me, my Instagram is _.N8tive. And the links to the rest of my stuff is there. And I'll be seeing you very soon.
He's doing us out of a job, isn't he, to be completely honest. But no, thanks so much for having us on.
Thank you. It's been really interesting to speak to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.